Day 482 of the war in Ukraine. Let's take a closer look at the main events that occurred today. Today, the fighting was concentrated in the area south of Marinka, as well as in the fronts of Vremivka and Zaporizhzhia. The Russian forces seem to have a slight advantage on the Marinka front. On the other hand, the Ukrainians have a slight advantage in Vremivka, while the situation in Zaporizhzhia remains unclear, despite the fact that currently the fiercest battles are taking place on this front. On Donetsk front, Russian forces are making significant efforts to advance through the fortified areas south of Marinka. The advancement is slow, but it seems that the Russian forces have cleared another part of the Ukrainian trenches. The objective of the Russian forces is to take the dominant area located on the hill, which is currently controlled by Ukrainian troops. This would make it easier for them to advance towards their next objective, which is said to be Pobjeda. On Zaporizhzhia front, during the night, the Russian forces used Geran 2 kamikaze drones to attack several targets inside the city of Zaporizhzhia. One of the targets was the titanium plant, which Russian troops suspected that Ukrainian troops used it to hide military equipment. The hot areas on this front remain those south of Orikhiv and near Pyatikhatki. On the Orikhiv front, the battles are quite fierce and the front line changes often. Recently, the Russian troops seem to have regained some of the territory they lost during the last few days. It seems that Russians have returned to the area of Balka-Ustenivka. On the other hand, the Ukrainian forces seem to not give up on their efforts. It is understood that Ukrainians have shifted their focus from the central part of the front towards the wings. First, they continue to bring troops from the direction of Malatokmaka, confronting the actions of the Russian troops in this part of the front. On the other side of the front, in the western part of the line of the Ukrainian special forces, was noticed yesterday when, in a video, they seemed to storm and clean some of the Russian trenches in the northwestern part of the front. So it seems that Ukrainians have expanded the active front line south of Orikhiv, and such decision could serve them to outstretch the defensive capabilities of the Russian forces at the point where it could be possible for weak spots to be created along the front line, and these weak spots can be used by the Ukrainian army to use their armored convoys and advance further south. In the area of Pyatikhatki, the situation remains the same. In itself, the village of Pyatikhatki is a difficult area to keep under control, because it is located at the lowest point of the area, and thus it is an easy target for artillery and mortar fire. And indeed, this is what the Russian forces have exploited since they withdrew from the village. After that, the Russian forces have split in two directions, towards the west and the southeast, and they constantly attack the Ukrainian positions, sometimes even getting too close to the village in order to exchange small arms fire. As we reported yesterday, the western group of the Russian forces is receiving reinforcements in troops and armored vehicles, possibly in preparation for another counterattack. However, at the moment it seems that the Ukrainian troops have a solid control over the northern part of the village, while the southern area of the village continues to be a no man's land. On Kherson front, Russian sources continue to report with concern about the increased activity of Ukrainian troops along the banks of the Dnipro River. According to them, during the night the Ukrainian army attacked several targets in Kakova, Hola Pristan and Velika Lebetivka using kamikaze drones and artillery. Recently, there have been reports that the special forces of the Ukrainian army are conducting amphibious operations to check the situation of the Russian defensive positions along the river. However, at the moment, there are no signs of a large-scale operation by the Ukrainian forces across the Dnipro River. That's all for today's video. Please don't forget to help the channel grow by liking the video and subscribing, and also for those who want to support the channel, you can visit my Patreon page. Thank you.